Hi, welcome to Sunny Days Knits. I know it's been a little while. I got sick about a week and a half ago, so I wasn't able to post anything. But I'm feeling better and I'm back. I was able to finish off. I think I was talking about my Jolly Wee Elves last time I was here. So I was able to, let's get a couple of these done. And like I said last time, I'm behind with the Christmas thing, so I'm going to stock up and get quite a few done, and I'll gift them next year. But I love these. Once you get going on these, it's pretty easy to keep making more. So you can do in the round, or you can also use your DPNs. And now, I think in the beginning I started using circular needles. But now that I've been doing, I kind of challenged myself to use, like I said before, I like challenges in knitting. So I tried the DPNs, and now I think I've got it down. So I finished these, and then I started on these little mini sweaters. I think Stephen West talks about these, or maybe that's where I got the pattern. It came out, well, I'm on the newsletter, so I got the little pattern for this. And I thought that turned out pretty cute. I used the same yarn. I used the Rowan felted Tweed. The same yarn that I used for these, I used for the sweater. I like the little specks of color in there. And the tweediness. And I was digging through my stash, because like I mentioned, I moved to Arizona. I've been here about 10 or 11 months now. And like I said, I kind of lost my local yarn store and little knitting group that I used to be in. So I'm trying to continue on my own because I love knitting, and I feel like if I stop knitting, maybe I'll forget. I know I've met people who used to knit years ago and then they stopped knitting and they forgot. I don't want that to happen because I've learned a lot and I want to continue learning. So I'm here. And I decided to keep knitting, and of course I have all this yarn stash, right? Like half my closet was yarn, and I want to use it. So I was talking about this sweater here and talking about Tweedy yarn. Well, I got this yarn. This is the leftover stash that I have. I made a hat. This is the La Bien Amie yarn, I believe. Yes, it is. I bought another kind that's very similar from a different designer, but this one is the La Bien Amie. Amy, maybe her name. But I love this, and I made a hat out of it, and I lost the hat. I went on a trip, and I could have sworn that it was in my suitcase. And I hadn't thought about it. This was back in November. And, I don't always have to wear a hat in Arizona. And plus I have so many other hats, which I finished another hat. And I forgot to bring it with me here today. I'll talk about that another time. But anyway, this yarn was used for a hat. So this is the leftover. And it's Tweedy. So I thought, well, this is perfect for these little mini sweaters. So as you can see here on my needles, right here, the double pointed needles, I'm starting another little sweater. And if you've never made a big sweater, a normal size sweater, the mini sweaters are a great way to practice, just like putting some yarn, putting the sleeves on the yarn, holding them off to the side, and picking up a stitch underneath the armhole. I mean, it's a little more complicated with bigger sweaters, but this is a good way to start. Anyway, so that's that for the little Jolly Wee Elves, the yarn that I was using, and my stash yarn, and making the little mini sweaters. So I know this is all Christmassy, and now it's Valentine's. Well, you could probably easily use this yarn and make a little heart. And I did see some free patterns out there for mini hearts, but I didn't end up making any. Like I said, last week I was sick, and it took me a little while to recover, actually. I think I was down for about 2.5, 3 days, and then even afterward I just felt a bit exhausted. So I'm finally getting back here. I feel like it's been forever. And then I wanted to mention that last week, or the other week when I did my first episode, I believe I had this sweater on. And I would highly recommend doing this sweater pattern as like a first pattern if you've never knit a sweater, because it's pretty simple. And this is called the Anker sweater, or maybe they called it a tee, Anker. Maybe it's the Anker tee. But if you look here, and I know at one point the ranunculus sweater was very popular, and I did knit that one. Maybe it was just the yarn I used. I liked it, but I think I like this one even more. I guess because on the ranunculus sweater, the sleeves are shorter, and it was something with the armhole. I feel like it left a big open area here, and I have to seam it up more so that you can't see underneath it. Like otherwise you have to wear like a tank underneath it. This one you do not. You can't see anything. It's a different sleeve. And this yarn I really would recommend too. And I have that right here. It is roslyn, Cascade yarn, roslyn yarn, and it is 65% wool and 35% silk. I would highly recommend this. It's so soft. It's, like I said, it's 65% wool and 35% silk, and it's just so drapey. It's drapey, it's warm. Sometimes I wear like a long sleeve shirt underneath it. And they have a few colors, but this one, I don't know if you can see in there. I'll get it close there if you can see that. It's this yellow with little specks of orange. Maybe it's better just to show you this. With little specks of orange, can you see that? I don't know, somehow over the years, I have become to like orange, and I guess more so yellow, like different yellows. Yeah, so like almost everything in my house, even I tend, and green. This is my green and yellows. But yeah, the Anker sweater, or Anker tee, I think is what it's called. You can look out on Ravelry. This is a very, I would say, beginner-friendly sweater. It's pretty much the same front and back, so I don't know if there is an actual difference when you look at it. I've probably worn it both ways, front and back, and no one's ever said anything to me. But yeah, and I think I use maybe 2 skeins. I'm a small. I can run extra small, but I like it a little bit big usually, so I usually do the small pattern. I think maybe I used maybe 2, and I even did my sample here, my swatch actually, and it's so nice. My Cascade yarns, roslyn yarn. This one's, I just love it. I don't know, like I said, I don't know how many different colors they have. I don't think they have a huge range of colors, but I would recommend that. And I'm not sure what this is doing in here. This is not the same. I had it in the same bag, but it's not the same. It has little lavender flecks. I have no idea where I got this. So I'll set that aside. That was the Anker tee. And then I think I mentioned something about that bag I was going to be knitting. It has, let me see, and that I ordered the wrong yarn online. I ordered this yarn, the Lettlopi yarn, and I'd ordered the purple yarn, the Alafosslopi. So this was my, sorry, my husband's in there. He works remote. Sometimes he's pretty, he gets loud, even with the door shut. So yeah, I had ordered this, and then remember I said I ordered another one, and I didn't realize that there was a difference. I knew it was Lettlopi, but the brand is different. This is Lettlopi brand. This is Lopi yarn. So I found another fellow Ravelry friend who had the one that I wanted. So this one, it said, what did I say? It was the color. The color is Heather Yellow or Heather, why does it not say on here? It should say Heather, that's interesting. It doesn't even say on here. Anyway, they had the same names. So this is the one I needed, or this was the name, Heather, I think, let's just call it Heather Yellow. I don't think it was yellow. Heather something. It wasn't Mimosa. Anyway, the names were the same, but look at the difference. This is the Lettlopi, and this is the Alafosslopi Lopi yarn. Same names, but look at the different colors. And this is the one I needed. I still like this one. I don't know what I'm going to use it for, but I got this. So finally, I have my 2 skeins that I need in this purple color and one in this. And I'm going to make a zippered bag, and I'm going to felt it. And so I'm really hoping that I can read the pattern by myself without going to my local yarn shop. Usually I'd get help from them. So hopefully I can do it by myself and not mess it up. So I am excited to get started on that. As well, I think with this one, I'm not used to using bigger needles. I think it's like a size 10 needle or size 9 even. And I don't usually use, I'm not used to using bulky yarn. I usually knit with the fingering weight or sock or DK. Sometimes, and worsted, but that's usually as heavy as I go. So, oh, and the sweater I'm wearing, in case you're wondering, because I know when I watch certain videos, I'm like, oh, what sweater is she wearing or he wearing? And now that I just mentioned that, I can't think of the name. I know the woman. Let me think for here for a second. I could probably pull out my knitting patterns and find it. All I know though is that when I knit this, I'll come back on my next episode with it. Sorry about that. Got ahead of myself. I love this sweater. I love the yarn. Pretty sure the yarn is Malabrigo, and I do know that I knit this sweater. I got pretty far along on it, and I had to rip it out. And it still came out a little smaller than I wanted. I kind of wanted more ease, and the arms are a little uneven, but I figure make them 3/4, just go like that. I slide them up because I like to wear bracelets and watches. So if you're one of those people that like to wear bracelets or watches, this is nice because then you don't have to always keep pulling your sleeves up. They're already out of the way. But I would say this was, for some reason, a little challenging for me. There was something about a setup row, and I don't know. I talked it over with one of the women at the local yarn store too, and she thought it was a little confusing as well. And then on the bottom, maybe you've already knit this one. Maybe you know what this one's called. I can't think of the name right now. I know I can picture the woman in my head. But this part, actually right here, it's supposed to end right here with the ribbing, but I continued on to make it longer. I didn't really want it cropped. I think they have it cropped. You can do cropped or long, but anyway, this one was a little more complicated for me. And in fact, I feel a little afraid to go back and try to knit it again. I feel like I will get frustrated. Because like I said, I tried it twice. And there was just something about the setup row, I remember. And I think I kept getting off on this part for some reason. Anyway. Yeah, so, but I can say 100% that I love Coco Knits patterns. I love the Coco Knits book. I took a class, and I don't know if I took the class twice, but I bought the book, and my first sweater that I made was, okay, so this is the book. As everybody, if you don't know, a lot of people know this book. And there have been a lot of workshops with this book. The Coco Knits Sweater Workshop. Okay. I love this book. I absolutely love it. In the beginning, for a beginner, I would say maybe it's a little intimidating. Like I said, I still really consider myself, okay, maybe I consider myself a beginner, but maybe other people would consider me intermediate. But anyway, my first sweater in this one that I knit was the Lizzy. Okay. And I have it here. And like I said, I love greens, so I did it in green. And again, I believe this was a Malabrigo yarn. And it curls in. Oh, and this one is a little bit different. I think most of the other patterns follow. It's all about the shoulders, the way she does the shoulders, and this one is different because it has a rolled neck. So if you're following along in that class with all the other people doing like the Emma sweater, this one is not the same. You will not be on the same path as some of the other people, probably a lot of the other people. Because like I said, this has a rolled neck and it has its rolled edges. And it's kind of hard to see. Let me see if I can put it on over this one. And sorry if that light in the back. This sun's really coming in today. It's spring here in Arizona. See how that is? How it rolls in. I just thought that, and it looks the same in the book. It kind of comes to a point here. I'm trying to show that. And again, the shorter sleeves, but I love this. I definitely wouldn't wear it over this one. Feels a little, I don't know. I guess with both sleeves being short, I don't know. But this is the Lizzy, and I love it. And again, I tend to, my torso is not long, but for some reason I tend to not make things quite as long. And sometimes I know that the crops, sweaters or tees are in, and I do tend to wear tanks under things, but anyway, this, I love it. This is the, the Lizzy, and I would highly recommend the Coco Knits Sweater Workshop book. So this was my first one, and it took me a while. I must admit, it did take me a while. I think I set it down, and I always needed help with it. So I would knit mainly when I go into the local yarn store. And then my second one was the, let's see, this one is the Molly. And I loved it. Again, I loved it. However, beginner mistake maybe. You can see here too, I forgot. I used different colors. See that? I don't know if I didn't realize I didn't have enough of the one color, but I didn't really care, to be honest. I was like, oh, maybe I'll just experiment. You can kind of see the different color change in there. But actually, I had forgotten about it till I just saw it in this video. But beginner mistake, I used single ply yarn. So again, I think I used either Madeline Tosh or Malabrigo. I tend to go with, in the beginning, I went with those two yarns a lot. Malabrigo, Madeline Tosh. but I use single ply. Okay, and so when you use single ply, can you see that there? It pills. And a friend of mine didn't know that as well, and she'd made a sweater. And she was like, what? And I was too, but you know what? I just need to get one of those cleaners and clean it off. I don't see them all the time, and I guess I don't think about it all the time, but this would clean up really nice. See all that though? So I would definitely use like, 2-ply or more than that, or twisted yarn or something like that, so that you don't have to deal with the pilling of your sweater. But this is super warm. I love this sweater. I wear it all the time, and yeah, it's wonderful. And then I've made one more, and because I knew I was going to use this Coco Knits Sweater Workshop book a lot, I decided to buy this one, because there's a couple copies in the back on when you lay out your plans for the sweater. If you've never done it, I'm sure that looks super confusing to you, but once you get it, and like if you take a workshop and everything gets explained, you'll keep it, and you can keep that. You can rip out that piece of paper and make that sweater over and over and over again. You write down all the information. So because I was on my third sweater, and you can't copy those on a copy machine because the lines won't come out. You can't see the lines. I've never been able to copy that on a machine, on like a scanner, or, print it out and have the lines, the gray lines come out. If you've been exposed to this, you know what I mean. But just to give you a heads up, those gray and white lines are not distinguishable when you go to print them out. So I ended up buying the extra, the Sweater Worksheet Journal. And this one, I need to get a little more organized here. This one has, gosh, I don't know, does it say how many? There are many copies in here. So, unless you make that many sweaters of Coco Knits, you're good. And supposedly it works with other sweaters too, but I don't know how to change that. Like for the shoulders, I have learned about the underarm technique that Coco Knits does, and I love that. So, not that I'm trying to promote Coco Knits, like I said in the beginning, I was like, whoa, this seems like way too much. Like it seemed too advanced for me. But, just little by little, I was like, wow, I can do this. So I went and I bought this. Again, I'm not trying to promote Coco Knits. I'm not sponsored or anything like that. But all my friends were buying it that I knit with, and I really like it now too. And this is the little row counter and the magnets. And with the Coco Knits, as maybe most people know, but I don't know, I don't want to assume anything. They have the colored knit stitch markers. Oh my gosh, it's so nice. It makes things so easy when you're knitting and finding, when you're knitting in the round and you come to a certain color of marker, you know that you're on the sleeve, or you know that you're under the arm, or on the back, or on the front. Yeah. So that's what I've been up to. So next time, hopefully it won't be so long before I do my next episode. I'm hoping to show you the Paisley pouch, let's just call it, the little bag with the zipper. And I've never sewn a zipper in a bag ever before, and actually I've never felt it. So this will be interesting. All right, well, thanks for watching. Subscribe if you are enjoying this, and it's been nice talking to you. See you next time.